Hello and welcome back to Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast, where we explore the art, the wisdom, and the joy of grandparenting in today's world. I'm your host, Sharona Hassan, and if you're looking to create meaningful, lasting connections between grandparents and grandchildren, you are in the right place. Today's episode, we're diving into perhaps the most powerful, the most important, and I think the most often overlooked tool for building strong grandparent grandchild bonds, and that is intentional connections. Maybe it's obvious, maybe not. I want to share with you something that somebody that I've been working with shared with me. She is remote from her grandson. They are unfortunately not near each other. But now they've been connecting on WhatsApp, and they have a set time twice a week where they meet. So they're intentional about their timing, and they're also intentional about what they're meeting about. And that is that they both love the idea of traveling and seeing each other. Now, they don't always get to do that. They often don't get to. So they plan trips of where they're going to go. Some of them are real, where they would love to really go, how they're going to go toward Italy together and where they're going to stay and what they're going to see and what's in Italy. And some of it's completely fanciful and could never happen and will never happen. But they're intentional. They're intentional about their time, and they're just about what they do with their time. And so they both do some research before and they think about it and what they're going to talk about in their next call. This little thing of, oh, you like to travel? I like to travel too, became this incredibly bonding and impactful experience for both of them. Grandma and grandson sharing and connecting regularly about something which is meaningful and interesting to both of them. Small moments done consistently create deep connection. It's about routine and putting power and meaning into routine. So now let's connect. Let's let's say what that means to you, right? If we're connecting Jewish grandparents, I've shared with you a story, but how does that really connect to you and to your grandchildren? How can you practically do that? All right, well, we said the first part was the routine, the ritual, the regularity of what we're doing. And that's something that is very much a part of Jewish life, of the routine and the regularity of the week of Shabbat, if you're Shabbat observant, of the Jewish festivals, each happening in their own season. That routine, those gives us predictability and joy and security. And those do for you and they do for your grandchildren. That's in the Jewish calendar. But in your relationship with them, think about how you can make it not just it's happening on the calendar, but it's a ritual happening between you and your grandchild, or you, the parent, setting it up between your parent and your child. Putting in those rituals and that routine. What can that look like? Weekly phone calls, if you're remote, and Zooms. And really, this is where Grand Plan comes in. Because if you just call, hey, how was your week? It was fine. Did you do anything interesting? No. How was baseball? I played, right? But you really have to get to the meat, to something meaningful, something purposeful. So the Grand Plan curriculum gives you the meaning, the purpose, the activities to do. But I don't know if we're ready for that yet. So let's talk about the other pieces more. Setting in the intentional time regularly. Could be story time, just a phone call, recipe swap. It could be anything remotely. And if you're together in person, oh, it's walks, it's baking sessions, it's the games you're going to play together. It's all of these pieces, but it's about setting them up as regular routines. All right, that was the big step one. Set it, create it, and keep it. That ritual, that routine. that time. Then what do you do in that time in your experience together? Well, this one's hard. It's hard for me at least. Listen more than you talk. You were there to get to know them and them to get to know you, but it has to start with you being present for them. You got to ask open-ended questions, not just how are you, but what was the best part of your week? What was the funniest thing that you saw or heard? Tell me something you learned that you didn't know before. And if you set these questions up as routine too, then they're going to be looking for it for you. If something funny happens, wow, I can't wait to tell grandpa about that. That was so funny because now the routine is set and they know that you're curious about them and they want to give that to you. So it could be anything, the funniest, the most interesting, what you're most excited about. But have some set questions, but that they've got to be thinking about them and you have to be listening to the answer so that they want to give it. And of course, it can go the other way too. You're not only the listener. What was the funniest thing that happened to you? But listen to theirs first. The third step, maybe you're already good at that. Share stories. You've listened to them and you will always listen to them. But you have your family stories and they're a treasure. So once they are a captive audience and you've listened to stories about their week and things that were interesting to them, share your childhood experiences, only one each time. It could get very overwhelming if it's too much, unless they are very, very engaged. And invite them to ask you more questions. This is one of the most exciting and impactful dialogues that you can achieve. It's not going to happen immediately. I mean, if it does, that's amazing. That makes you, the grandparent, or you, the parent, an amazing conduit between future generations. Well done on it. But in my experience, this takes a lot. Then there's honoring their interests. So this is number 4, right? What do they want to talk about? It's not just going to be what you want to talk about. Listen to them, listen to their interests, and be able to ask questions about it. Now, I will say that this does become a little bit, you have to be a little cautious with this. If you throw yourself completely into each one of their interests, you're just going to be chasing them. And it's going to go from, I don't know, Bluey to Legos to, right? Every step of the way, you're just going to be following their interest. And so it's nothing concrete. It's not as ritual, it's not as routine. And that again is where the grand plan curriculum comes in. There we're rooted in the Jewish calendar, the Jewish year, and it's shared interest. Grand plan is science and games and activities and really fun and engaging things related to the Jewish calendar so that you have the shared interest. So, of course, they're into sports. You should know the stats or the players or the something to talk to them about. You don't ignore their interests. But if you immerse completely only into their interests, you're just going to be chasing that interest cycle. And wow, the trends swap quickly. So it's important to enter their world, but be careful of how deep you want to stay in those waters. All right. And number 5 is use the technology wisely. If you're remote from them, there's a lot you can use. There's the WhatsApping and the Zooming and the photo sharing and the texting. And they're amazing, amazing. And you can really ask your depending on who's the big conduit here and the age of the grandchildren, the parents can know, the grandchildren might know. What's the best way to connect and make it meaningful? But be wise about technology. If the grandchildren are local, you don't want them to spend all their time on the screens ignoring you. You need to be using technology as the great conduit to bring you closer together, not as the great divide, which it is for so many right now. So those were my 5 tips. on the process of being intentional. We're not done with those at all. We will come back to them in future podcasts and in conversations. But what you need to know, what's really important, is this is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about trying to set those meaningful rituals. It's about connecting in ways that you can and trying to set it and stick with it, because that's how we're going to move forward. That's how that bond begins and how it strengthens. That's how we are connecting Jewish grandparents. So thank you for joining me in the second episode of the Grand Plan, the podcast, Connecting Jewish Grandparents. If you found today's episodes helpful, please leave a review. Share it with others. Let other parents and grandparents know about the tools to connect with future generations. And if you're interested in going even deeper, check out the Grand Plan program, the resources, the curriculum to guide grandparents and families through hands-on strategies for joyful intergenerational connection. I wish you so much happiness in the rituals, routines, and love that you create with your grandchildren. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today in Connecting Jewish Grandparents. If you found today's episode meaningful or helpful, please consider subscribing and leaving a review and share it. Share it with other grandparents you know who want to build meaningful family connections. And if you're interested in going even deeper, putting it really into action, check out my Grand Plan program, where I guide grandparents and families through hands-on strategic planning. That's the Grand Plan for a joyous intergenerational connection. Join me in building joyous Jewish legacies.